Hello there. I do highly recommend, by the way, going on to a podcast looking at Cross-Examined. There's an amazing podcast by Dr. Frank Turek. He does about just finding the answers for skeptics about God and just why things happen the way they do. He's got an amazing podcast. He has some archaeologists on there the other day that were just fun to listen to, talking about digging up things that prove, of course, again, the Bible. And you don't really need them to prove the Bible, but it's interesting that they do. It's fun that they do. It's not like no big surprise. Chapter 28 of Job, talking about man searching for treasure, material treasure, knowing that there's heavenly wisdom above that we can find and seek out. Chapter 29, Job remembering better days, blessed relationships, remembering former times when things were better for him. There was a security and confidence, and his authority in the community, talking about how he was a pillar in his community. So it's interesting to see now. It doesn't surprise you that he'd have friends there to console him. The lousy comforters there. Chapter 30, reflecting on his current misery. All the mocking he's enduring right now, his pain, his spiritual pain, as well as his physical pain, because there's a lot of spiritual pain. They can cause physical pain in our lives too. Chapter 31, proclaiming his purity and innocence. He's not guilty of anything. He's not guilty of lust or falsehood or being an adulterer or any of that. And he was not an adulterer, but he talks about how he's not guilty of being a liar. He's not guilty of being of any of those things. He doesn't treat his servants cruelly. He didn't victimize the poor. He was generally without blame. And usually we have that. Like, he was a good person. Like, that's great. I'm glad that you're a good person. I'm glad that you have authority in your life, because that authority comes from God. The only reason why we can say something is good or not is because of God. He's the one that puts that authority there. He is the authority. At any rate, Job continues to demand, that God talk to him, get his attention. Like, he wants to meet with God. I know this is going super fast with Job. Job takes a little bit of time to actually just dive into, but I just want to get through it because I really love the book of Psalms. Anyway, we spent months on Job, not too recently in our Bible study, so there's a lot there. There's a lot there. Chapter 32, Elihu speaks. And this is the guy that we're not really sure a whole lot about. He's just kind of a younger man. He comes into play. Some people think maybe he was an appearance of Jesus. I don't know if I really buy that. Might have been sent there just kind of as like a mediator either way. Hearing from Elihu, though, he criticizes Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar as being ineffective completely. Chapter 33 really teaches Job, I am a spokesman before God. That's what he calls himself. Do you think you're without sin, Job? You really think that? Because you're not. He talks about God answering Job, maybe in a dream, speaking to you through your sufferings, saving your soul from death, pleading for Job to listen. And then chapter 34, denouncing Job. Elihu continues. He speaks for a very long time. He's got a very long speech, talking about the righteousness of God, preserving God's moral order, the perfection of God's judgment, perfect in all he does. Accusing Job in chapter 35 of self-righteousness. Are you more righteous than God? Are you better than God that made you? God is farther above you than you can even imagine, and he is farther above us than any of us can imagine. God does not want to hear your empty talk. He does want to hear from you, but don't just ramble on with like words that have no meaning. That doesn't do any good. Any of this, and that's unfortunately what starts happening in the religious communities. Even in Jesus' day, we see that Jesus says, you just talk. This doesn't do any good. Let your yes be yes, your no be no, but speak to the Father like you would to anybody, to your closest friend. He wants to have intercession with you, conversation. Teach Job, and you can get conversation through the Bible. God speaks to you through his word. You speak to God through prayer. That's how it generally works right there. And he speaks to you through other people too, confirmations and witnesses as well. Chapter 36, Elihu continues to teach Job about God. These are words that, are amazing to read. What God would have done for you, the unsearchable greatness of God. Then chapter 37, Elihu sees God in the storm, the great voice of God, the thunder of God. And his final advice, you don't know as much as you think you do. Stop trying to speak for God. I'll get into chapter 38, 39, 40, and 41, and 42 after that. But it's amazing that the Bible says, there's nothing you can do that could, add to God or take away from God. You can't add to God by sinning. You can't take away from God by sinning. You can't add to him wanting to save you more. He loves you. He's massively in love with you. God is love. There's nothing else that he wants more but to have eternity with you in his presence. And we'll end Job in the next video. And Job, God bless.